Hello everyone, I am back. I went on vacation and went on a cruise. First cruise I've been on, Cozumel, Belize, some other place. Anyway, a lot of fun, but now it's back to work. So let me show you what I came back to. When I left, I was printing this model right here. It is a larger scale version of a car, very similar to that, not identical, but very similar. And I had used already two different rolls of filament. The bottom one is called bronze, although it looks green to me. The next one is copper. And then the one on top of it that's very thin is gold. I was experimenting with different colors to see what I wanted. I did have an issue here where the head hit the part and it knocked it off, shifted the layers. Luckily, I caught it in time, and so I went in, rehomed the head of the printer in the X and Y direction. I did not touch the Z direction because it was not impacted, and continued the print from there. So what happened is, if I reach back here, there's a piece that sticks out exactly the opposite of there. Let me see, I'm not sure if you can see it because it's dark. Nah. Anyway, so there was one spool right here, another spool right there, and then started a third spool right here. My hope was that the third spool would finish the car because you could see that the material gets less as it gets higher. It was going to be close. The calculations done by the slicer were way off. It said it would take less than 2 rolls to do the whole car. So I put a spool on, waited for that last spool to run out, put the gold spool, the copper spool, put the gold spool on, and hit the print. Watched it print almost as far as you can see it here, just enough to make sure it was going okay. Then I left for vacation. Of course, I hoped I would come back and either have a finished print or a print that was mostly finished and it ran out of filament. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. When I came back, here's what I found. Somehow, this spool ended up wrapping itself around that shaft, and when you pull on it, it's stuck. So what happened is, obviously, it broke the filament right here. You can see it dangling there. And it thinks it continued printing, but it in fact did not. So what I've got to do now is obviously fix that. I've got to come back in, and what I'm going to do is accurately measure as close as I can the distance from the surface here to where it stopped. Then I'm going to come into the 3D model, slicer model, and I am going to start it again from this point, or as close to this point as I can. Before I do that, I'm going to pull this off of the bed. I could try to get tricky and do a Z offset and get it to continue where it was, but rather than try to do that, I think I'll just go ahead and do it in 2 separate pieces. Pull this off and do the second piece. Tough choice whether to try that, but right now I've got too much invested in getting this to the point where it's at, and I don't want to risk ruining it or messing up the printer or any of that by trying to accurately calculate where this is, find out where this is, and continue on from that point. All right. Oh, so the other thing that I printed is over here on the little Creality printer, Ender 3 Pro, and I have this huge spool that I had to figure out how do I get this big spool to work. It wouldn't work on that, so I moved it over to here. Let's see, this is the spool, yeah, that gave issues on the Modix printer. So I wanted to use on here, and see, it kept clogging the Modix printer. Didn't have any issues at all with this. I have no clue why the Modix printer is so picky about stuff, but it is. Anyway, what I printed is these are little torque wrenches. So what happens is there's an outside part here and an inside part there. This inside part goes inside of there. There's a cap that goes over it right there. And these are different torque levels. So what you do is you put it inside of here, and this, you put an extension on here with a nut, and it's specifically for changing the nozzle that's on these printers. So there's different torque values. So I've got to read the instructions and see what's what, but this was all of the different torque values. I just got this downloaded off the internet, probably Thingiverse or something like that. I don't remember exactly where. But anyway, that'll allow me to correctly torque the hot ends, the nozzles when I change them. So anyway, I'm trying to find things on this printer that I can print that will fit within the volume that it does. And then bigger things I'll print on the Modix printer once I get it going. And then finally, there is another printer that I have access to, Anycubic. I can't remember the name of it, but it does in between these two. All right, that's all I have for now. So I've got to go do some measurements, some calculations, get this thing off of the printer bed, get everything prepped so that I can continue printing again. And hopefully in about a day or two, I will have the second half of this, and I will just glue or epoxy the two halves together. All right, hope everyone's doing great. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want. And if you don't know what I'm doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.